Hello on the Rockers. On this episode, we have singer-songwriter extraordinaire, pride hottie, memoir writing, kinky boots wearing, scissor sistering, Jake Shears. So raise a glass and let the drinks begin.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Listen to that applause. Buns and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks on the Air, and on Facebook On the Rocks Radio Show. You can watch and or listen to our almost 300 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. Watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with pride on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. The show is brought to you by fandaddies.com. Support your small businesses, as well as our vodka is powered by Neft Vodka. It's just damn good vodka. Ask for Neft at the bar or get your own for home. Okay, things might look a little different because we're dealing with a time zone difference today. So I'm actually Zooming from home because I'm so excited to chat with our guest from across the pond, Jake Shears. Served as the frontman and one of the primary songwriters for multi-platinum selling glam pop band Scissor Sisters. He was born in Arizona, grew up in Seattle area before moving to NYC, where he studied fiction writing at the New School. He's written hits for Kylie Minogue, collaborated with Tyga, Andy Bell of Erasure, and Boys Noise. He's duetted with Cher. He also wrote the music for the stage musical version of Tales of the City. He made his Broadway debut as Charlie Bryce in Kinky Boots. And in 2018, he released his debut book, the memoir, Boys Keep Swinging. And that same year, he released his debut solo album, Jake Shears, and continues to work on several projects, both in music and theater, including a musical based on the life of Tammy Faye Baker in collaboration with Mr. Sir Elton John that is set to debut in London in the next year. And this July, Jake will return to Kinky Boots for a limited engagement at the Hollywood Bowl. Please welcome my future ex-husband, Mr. Jake Shears.
What's up? Good evening. Good morning.
Good morning, good evening. Who knows what time it is? I just know it's always a good time. To say you've led a colorful life would be a huge understatement. So before we get into the nitty gritty, let's talk about Kinky Boots. Now, you made your Broadway debut with Kinky Boots, but your actual kind of first big stage production was in Bent at the Mark Taper. That show is quite dark and kind of a different side of Jake Shears than we had seen in such a heavy play. All eyes were on you. What was it like going through that acting and creative process in relation to everything you had done up to that point?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great question. Moises Kaufman, who is directing Bent, I mean, Bent is a very heavy play. It's really dark. It's a beautiful play. But, you know, Moises came to me and wanted to cast me in the show. And it was not a huge part, but it's a significant part in the first act. And I just didn't know. I'm not a good actor. I'm like not an actor at all. Like, I'm a bad actor. Like, I was. And I basically was like, look, I'm really not good. Like, and he said, I was like, should I start going to acting lessons? What do I do? And he was like, don't worry. I promise I've got you on this. I'm going to help you through it. And he really, really did. And I learned so much. And it was one of the most amazing times of my life that summer. I think we did like 70 shows. And, you know, it's such a beautiful show. I met amazing people on it. And really, it's just so exciting to see yourself kind of progress and learn new things. And I loved it. It was really funny. I mean, the show is so heavy. And every night I remember after the show, I'd set up my dressing room like a full bar. There was like a big rug and, you know, fairy lights and stuff. I'm sorry. And after the show, every night, I mean, it was like so depressing. Everybody was like really down, and I would run up to my room and play Donna Summer, Love Will Always Find You. Every night I would play Love Will Always Find You. Everyone went back to the dressing rooms and kind of like got their good moods back on. But it was an amazing moment. And look, I wouldn't have been able to do Kinky Boots without it. Like, You know, Kinky Boots was biting off even more than I could chew. You know what I mean? There was another moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm sorry, my phone is going off. I apologize. But I did, and I really worked. I worked very hard on getting into that show and being able to do that show. And that was just one of the best moments in my life, Kinky Boots. I'm so excited to get back in it.
Well, and what I love about it is, as an artist, you know, some of the temptation is just to kind of stay where you are, where your fan base is. And what I love about your career is you've always, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? Let's push through. Let's challenge. And I think that's important for any artist. And with Kinky Boots, as you were saying, it's a whole different energy. It was mixing in your musicianship. You had written a musical at that point. You had acted, and now it had all come together. But it's quite different doing that kind of performance, you know, 8 performances a week, and then on Broadway for your debut. How did you, I mean, you're used to being on the road and performing, but it's very kind of strict to be in a Broadway show. How did you kind of have to modify your lifestyle to fit that kind of schedule?
It was really like it was topsy-turvy. You know, doing 8-show weeks, we would do 5-show weekends. You get to the end of the weekend and you know, I would finish the weekend and realize I'd been on stage for like a chunk of my waking life. Like you're like living on a stage, which is sort of my dream. Like I was really enjoying it. You know, that's just, it's sort of when you're in it, that's kind of all you can do. And I took it so seriously just because I wanted to be good, and just preparing for it and getting in there was just a lot of work. I don't know if I've ever worked so hard on anything before in my life. And it was insanely gratifying. And, you know, I think the hardest thing about Kinky Boots was, since it was such a special moment for me, and I'm a lucky person with so many friends from all over the world, you know, and everybody, you know, came in, and it's like, I wanted to see everybody. So on top of the shows, after every show, I was taking people out afterwards for dinner and drinks, or lunch and drinks. And, you know, I wasn't drinking that much, but it was, it was completely exhausting, but very satisfying.
Now, I want to talk about returning to the musical at the Hollywood Bowl with Wayne Brady and Kelly Marie Tran, by the way. Over the 4 years since you've done the musical, there's been COVID. I know you kind of had a breakout. How are you coming back to this character different? What new energy are you kind of bringing to this performance?
It's funny. I've been thinking about that actually, and you know, I'm getting off book again and going back to the script, and it's sort of naturally coming back. I just feel so comfortable. It's really like putting on an old leather jacket or something that you haven't worn for a while, and I feel and I hope this isn't. I don't know. I hope this isn't. I feel very confident with it. I don't feel that stressed out about it. I'm really excited. I think there's something else kind of coming out in the character with me when I'm just working on it right now. I'm the associate director, and it really does feel very comfortable, and I'm just so excited to do it again with that confidence initially.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Now, the year you debuted on Broadway was a very big year for you. Not only did you release your memoirs, you also released your debut solo album. Now, your memoir, Boys Keep Swinging, what were you the most nervous for people to read about your life or to kind of experience through? It was all out there. Turn the page, it's all there.
Yeah. God, there was quite a bit of stuff I was nervous about. It's a little strange, kind of like opening up certain things, because I'm actually kind of a private person, like on social media and stuff. I don't like to spill everything out. I don't like for people to necessarily know where I am at all times, or who I'm dating, or what's going on. But you know, that book definitely like exposed myself in a way, and I think it was my mom I was most worried about. You know, it's just like, making something like that and it's very sexually explicit. There's a lot of drugs and sex and partying and like, you know, all kinds of stuff in there. And I was like, my God, my mom is going to read this. And, you know, and she did.
She's like, wow, that was interesting.
Yeah. And she's fine. She's totally fine. It was like, it was not bad. But I loved writing that book. And I look at it now and I kind of wish I could write it again. I'm working on my second book now.
Oh, excellent.
And yeah, it was definitely a really cool experience doing it. I learned a lot, and I think that I don't know. There's something about writing about your life that can be eye-opening to yourself. Especially, you know, it's kind of I don't think there's like this theory that people shouldn't write about anything that happens unless it happened like 15 years ago or before. So that's why I stopped my book in 2006, because I figured I needed to kind of like have some more time to. You know, the next book's got to be a little bit more about what happened after.
Well, that's I can't wait for that, because girl, you spilled the tea. And it's funny, you were talking about going back to a role. When you write your memoirs, you kind of have to relive all those moments, the successes, the highs, the lows. So how did that kind of play with your psyche as well? Because we've talked to other celebrities that have written their memoirs, and for other people, it's been kind of almost like its own trauma, because they had to kind of relive stuff that they've moved past from, and sometimes it can really bring this kind of darkness back. How did you kind of avoid that?
Well, yeah, though, it's just I kind of be in denial a little bit. You write about hard times sometimes, and I just sort of like shove it away and think, oh, it's fine. I'm just like, you know, and it really does can you are reliving stuff to a degree, but I was totally fine with it. But it's interesting. It's like lately I've been thinking about, like, I think 24 when the first Scissors record came out, 25. And, you know, that's 18 years. That first Scissors album is almost 20 years old. And so it's really interesting thinking back to that boy now, that I'm 43, and, you know, thinking about all the crazy stuff that I went through at a pretty young age. And, you know, I think about it a lot now, and think and try to kind of give myself a little leeway sometimes, and think about, you know, I think I can be really hard on myself sometimes, and I try to go back and think about those points, and remember that, like, I did go through a lot, and I think sometimes you've got to be a little bit easier on yourself. I don't know if that was the answer to your question.
No, totally. And you know, I this last week I revisited your debut album, solo album, Jake Shears. And, you know, the majority of your music has this joyful, party, kind of euphoric energy, which is a contrast to kind of the depression and anxiety that you've been very open about. And I'm so glad you are open about that, because I think now we're finally able to talk about mental health and mental health awareness in our community, something that's been so shoved in the closet, even more so than our sexuality. So how does that, as a musician, and maybe for our audience that's listening, that, you know, we've all gone through depression during COVID, and we're all going through our own difficult points. How did you kind of work through that to create this joyful tone, I guess?
I mean, I think joyful music just kind of comes out of me. I love writing really fun music. I love writing, I love writing stuff that's a little bit sinister too. That's also kind of, that has that like blend. I like stuff being theatrical. This, you know, I'm just wrapping up my second solo record. It's just about done. And it's sort of interesting, and like with this question that you're talking about, it was over the last couple years, it was, people ask me what the record's about, and it's not about anything other than the act of making it. Like, it made me happy making the record. It was the one thing I could do that made me feel good, and that was fun. And so I just think that it's important to just at least find things that, like, anything that can bring you some joy. And like over the last few years, like, that's what really just brought me a lot of joy, was making music. And I think, you know, therapy is important. You know, if you whatever resources you can find, you know, people to talk to. I think I'm a firm believer in in therapy. It's helped me a lot, and it still does.
And I think during COVID, we saw a lot of artistic and creative individuals working through their stuff, so to speak, especially like digitally. There was different ways that we had to share our content and material. And I think it was an exciting time for a lot of artists. So we're heading into Pride. You're doing Pride performances. You have talked about the infighting that happens in our community. And I wanted your opinion, because I also have my own views about that as well.
Yeah.
Do you think our community, all of us having gone through COVID, having to survive the last presidential administration, present day, continually fighting inequality, do you think our community has matured and come together? Or do you think we still have a long way to go?
I think we're in a pretty good spot. I think we'll see this Pride. I mean, I think it's going to be an exciting Pride this year. I think the main thing is we all just need to really listen to one another, and we all need to keep a sense of humor. I think those are two things, is just making sure we don't, as queer people, I think humor is part of, I don't know. I think it's part of who we are. And I think we always need to keep that, and we always need to listen to what each other have to say.
I love that, because there is this fine line, of like jokes, but now I think we're trying to be so PC, even within our own group, with labels. And we have all these new letters and labels, which is great for people that never saw themselves represented. But at the same time, I think when we take out that sense of humor and we're so careful around each other, then we lose the communication. Like we're talking now, being very open about our opinions. And girl, nobody's funnier than a gay man after 2 cocktails. I mean,
yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I just think we've got to be, I think we've got to be careful about life is a gray area. Things are not always in black and white. And I think that like things are not always like strict rules. It's just not what being human is. And, I think everybody's got to be flexible a little bit, and everyone's got to be able to, there's no world where there is no compromise, So I think compromise, being flexible, having a sense of humor, listening to one another, all those things, loving one another are the most important thing. And that's what I want to see and continue seeing in our community.
Okay, girl, let's talk about sex.
Yeah.
When I told all my friends,
great.
I'm gonna be chatting with Jake, and like, oh my God, inappropriate comment, left and right. I'm like, everybody calm down. You have been very open about sex, nudity. You even worked as a go-go boy and a kind of dancer in your youth. There continues to be this stigma about sex positivity in mainstream. And even like our own gays are putting down other gays who are doing like OnlyFans or who are porn stars. Why do you think that there continues to be this fight against blatant sexuality in our community? Yeah.
I think that there's like a lean towards like, the more accepted that we are, the more we kind of can sort of like lean to this sort of like heteronormative outlook on, who we are. It's sort of, it's easy to kind of like, you could see parts of our community kind of assimilating into the mainstream, and kids growing up, like not, looking at older queers or, older people in the community being like, that's not who I need to be. That's not me. That's not how I feel. So it's, I think it's complicated. It's like a really complicated thing. I do think it's very important to stay sex positive, and I think people need to do what they feel, and I don't want to come up with a sexier answer to this question now.
No. I mean,
listen, I love OnlyFans.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I've got some great subscriptions to OnlyFans. There's a few accounts that I'm a big fan of.
Now, have you ever slid into their DMs? Spill the tea.
Just not really, no. I'm so bad at that. I'm really bad at that sort of thing. I'm not good at Grindr. I'm not really good at dating apps. I met a really cute guy on Hinge here in London a couple weeks ago, though, which is, good. It was a big step forward for me.
God.
But no, I'm not great with DMs and stuff. I'm very awkward. I'm much better in person. I'm not great at texting. It's just not my forte.
So when you come back to the Hollywood Bowl, I guess we won't expect to see you on Grindr in the LA area?
Probably not. And the thing about Grindr is it just kind of makes me, I wish it made me feel better, but I just can't, I feel like I can't really get laid on it. And I don't know why. I think sometimes
that's going to be the headline. Jake Shears can't get laid.
No, well, that really is a headline. But no, I think sometimes people because I'll send my picture around. I'm not like shy about it or anything. And then I don't know if people think it's not real or
I
people have some
that's it.
preconceived notions about me. I don't know, but it can be, I can get a lot of radio silence out there.
I guarantee you. No, I guarantee you people think it's not you. Now, before non-binary and gender fluidity were popular themes, like in today's with our youth, in your own youth, you were a bit of, and this is one of your quotes, a girly freak with your own style, your kind of own energy. Where did this kind of exploration start? Because you grew up in Arizona, then Washington State. How were you exposed to that kind of energy? And where did you get the confidence to say, fuck it, I'm going to be who I am?
I needed attention is what I needed, and that's something about just my personality. I'm a person that does need, I need attention. And I feel like I have channeled that now into healthy channels, and in positive ways. I think it can go kind of either way for people like me that need a kind of attention. At the time, I felt different, and I felt like I needed to break out when I was a teenager, and I was so inspired by all the music I was listening to. This is kind of right before Nirvana came out, and there was Susie and the Banshees and Nine Inch Nails, and I was super into Bowie, and there was just it was an amazing time for music, and I was very inspired by styles that I was seeing, and I wanted to be different. I wanted to look different. I wanted people to see me. I wanted to feel like I was sticking out. No matter the cost.
Yeah.
Even if people were gonna yell at me from their cars or whatever, it was more important to me to feel like I did inside on the outside, than it did whether I was going to be made fun of or not.
Now, what's your take on straight celebrities kind of exploring that gender fluidity, on the red carpet? We see, Shawn Mendes is now wearing nail polish. We have certain straight actors that are wearing, dresses and things. Do you think that's attention getting, or do you think this is where our gender fluidity should be going, that it's not regardless of your identification in terms of our queer community?
I think it's just happening. I really feel like it's a moment. I don't know where it's going to go. I really feel like it's the moment that we're in, and it's just something that people are exploring, and it's really fun and wonderful. I'm living right now in East London, and I was just locking my bike up or something down the street, and I saw this really this big guy, right? This super tall, broad-shouldered, in this gorgeous. I mean, I don't want to say, I don't know how they identified, so I'm not gonna say it's a guy, but they were just this amazing being in a blue checkered housewife thing going on with knee-high kind of sky blue go-go boots. It was the coolest look. It was amazing. And I was just really I was looking at them thinking that that person looks incredible. And this is like a great fashion moment. Whatever's going on, I don't know what's going on, but it's fantastic. And I'm like super down. It like really brightened my day.
I love that. Okay, we have to talk about Scissor Sisters. It was a decade of your life. With all the successes also came struggles with the group and individually, which you've talked about. Are you able to listen back and enjoy the amazing work that you all did, even though it came at the cost of a lot of hard work and challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was totally, it was tough. There were struggles, yes, but like, God, I loved every minute of it. Like I wouldn't trade any of it. Like I love singing those songs. I still feel it doesn't, even though I'm not with the band anymore, I still feel, I don't know, things don't feel that different for me. I mean, I just feel like I'm still making the music I love making, and and hopefully like I still perform, and I can sing all the songs I've written over my career and the new songs that I do, and I love what I do. I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet. I've never had to like get a real job. I've always been able to like, I think about that. I'm like, I have been able to like make my living off of my passion, and it doesn't feel like all the stuff I do, it just doesn't feel like work. It's fun. But even though there are hard times, and even though you can really sacrifice a lot for it, to me, it's worth it. And it's a life I would never, ever trade.
Well, and being an artist, the struggle is part of being an artist, and overcoming those challenges and being able to be creative out of that. I have to tell you, again, I went back and listened to Jake Shears over and over again. I was like, oh, it really does fill you with this positivity. And you do see your through line of all your songwriting from the beginning of your career. So I cannot wait for your second solo album.
Oh, you're gonna love it. It's by the way, it's a complete 360. It's like totally, it's really fun.
So heading into Pride season, now's a time that we honor the trailblazers before us. And one aspect among many that I'm enchanted with your life is your friendship with Elton John. From the outside, we see Elton the activist, we see Elton the trailblazer, we see him the iconic musician. You know him on a more personal level. What has he taught you about life in general, not the biz, but about life?
Oh my God. He's somebody that's just he's one of the main figures in my life. And, what's been so amazing the last couple of years is he discovered iPads and FaceTime, which is amazing because, I talk to him almost every day, he just like, while he's eating breakfast, he wants to call and chat. What have I learned from him? I think just exactly what we're talking about, just being grateful that you get to do what you love, being kind to people, being true to yourself. And also, I feel like he's gotten to some place that I still feel like I haven't. I mean, he came to a point in his life where he looked around and he's like, how am I really going to make the world a better place?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? So like, what am I going to leave on this planet? Like, how am I going to make this world a better place? I don't know if I haven't hit that point yet. I still feel like, I'm still too selfish and like caught up in my own shit. You know what I mean? And that's something that I look at and see in him that I want to be as well. Is that a good?
That's 100%. And I think his energy is an energy that I wish I saw more from our new generations coming through in our generations of Instagram and selfies and how many likes did I get and how many views and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, what can I also give back to the community? So thank you for sharing that.
But he also, just really quick, like the other thing that I've learned from him, and it's been occurring to me recently, and just I've not talked about this. This is the first time I've talked about this, but I've moved to London, and I know some people. I know some people over here, but I'm like making new friends and stuff, and he's really taught me the importance of other gay musicians, just finding other queer and gay musicians, and how important it is for us to be there for each other. And that's something he really, is important to him, and it's become really important to me as well. And that's another thing I've learned from him. Anyways, sorry, that's it.
Thank you so much. I cannot wait to see you at the Hollywood Bowl. You're going to be coming to the Hollywood Bowl July 8th to the 10th, returning to your role in Kinky Boots. What is your message to your fans, especially this Pride season?
Oh God, this Pride season, just not take our good times for granted, not take our community for granted, not take your friends for granted. Enjoy yourself, and don't believe all the corporate bullshit either.
Yeah.
It triggers the fuck out of me. It triggered me it triggered me when I was 18 years old. Stuff would make me crazy, and now I'm not gonna start bitching, but it's just I don't know. When the CEO of Taco Bell starts talking about safe spaces, I'm like, this is not what it's about.
Except, there's the other side to that, though, that people say, you know what? But if some kid on some farm in the middle of nowhere doesn't have any friends or anybody like him in his community, he's hearing that message. His family's hearing that message on a bigger level.
I'm just more cynical about it. I'm more cynical about it. I really don't feel like that. Yeah, no, I can be very cynical about a certain sort of corporate side that happens with Pride every year. So anyways, I don't know, just keep your eyes peeled for it. That's, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but yeah, anyways, but have a good Pride is my message.
Can't wait for the new book. Can't wait for the new record. You can find everything at jakeshears.com. Also on Instagram, Jake Shears. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been super fun.
I think it's 5 p.m. where you're at, so go out, have a pint on us.
I might do that. All right, nice talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jake. Well, that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every week on The Rocks. Big thank you to our guests, our engineer, Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez. Coming up, we are kicking off Pride with more musicians. We have Dance Diva icon Pepper Mache is coming with new music that she's going to debut on our show. And that's going to happen right before Pride. So stay tuned, like, share, subscribe, so we can continue bringing you this fabulous programming for free. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy. More importantly, stay tipsy.
This has been another episode of On The Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air. Find everything On The Rocks for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.